reporting on the games you love by people who love to game. The MMO Reporter Network. ESO to me is an amazing MMO that features probably the richest world that I've ever explored in massively online gaming. Other MMOs that I've played, there's huge worlds, but none of them have felt as alive as the world of Elder Scrolls Online.
Tamriel itself and the lore and the depth of the experience in terms of if you're a fan of not just playing a game in the current world, but knowing how that world came about and the past and the history behind it, you will absolutely love this game. And you can step into Elder Scrolls at any point. I think what I like about the Elder Scrolls world is that even though there is the old triumvirate, DPS, healer, and tank to some extent, you have the freedom to create whatever sort of character you want with whatever sort of strengths that you want. There are strengths from each race, just like the old single-player games, but you don't have to fit the mold of a race specifically. You can do, frankly, whatever you feel. So the freedom that it provides you to build your character is unlike almost all of the other MMOs that I've played. So there are quite a few alternatives and options for players when they jump into the game. And for me, I wanted to try something different. I wanted to do something I've never tried before. I typically play human races, and this time I thought I'd jump in and give the Khajiit a shot. And much to my surprise, because I've never been a fan of that race in the Elder Scrolls or anything else, but I actually am finding myself enjoying it.
So what I like about the Elder Scrolls the most is really the freedom and the flexibility. In a lot of ways, to me, it feels like a sandbox MMO wrapped in a theme park. So while you're not going to get players making all the content and making the fun like you would in EVE and another sandbox MMO, you have that same feel, that general feel that you can go out and explore, pick a direction, go, and you'll have adventures in that direction. So I played as a sorcerer, and I was surprised how much I enjoyed it. Now, I was quite flexible in my time with my sorcerer. I tried a destruction staff, I spent a little bit of time with a restorative staff. I actually even spent some time with a two-handed sword, just to see how things worked. But basically, most of my time was spent as a dark magic conjurer and focusing on the destructive staff. You get all your skills for your race, or your class, or your weapon, or your armor. You have skills for your guild, and so each of those gives you skills. So you go in and you decide, okay, I'm going to get this skill first. And you use that one mage skill that you get, or whatever you start out with. You use it again and again and again, and those skills themselves level up, so to speak. They rank up use. Think Star Wars Galaxies or something like that, where your skills progress through use. But there's still levels. Every time that you level, you get a skill point that you can spend on something different. Now, let's say that I'd used my dark magic. That was one of the three paths or skill lines for the sorcerer: the dark magic, the conjuring, and the storm calling one. So let's say I went dark magic. The more I use that one skill, the more my dark magic skill would level up in general. And that specific skill that I was using would level up. I had like a crystal missile of some sort. And so I would use that crystal missile skill. It would rank up. My dark magic, because that's sort of the top level part of that skill, would also level up from use. And as I used it and my dark magic skill would rank up, all of a sudden new skills would unlock. Maybe at rank 2 for dark magic, or 10, or 15. And as I got to those, I could unlock them with the skill points that I got from leveling. That happened both with my class ones, with my race ones, with my weapon ones. So I unlocked a few different skills with my weapons, and I was able to do that. So it's a combination of simple progression through use as well as level-based progression. And it's a really interesting mix. I found that I was able to use one thing exclusively, the staff, that for the most of the time, and I went through different versions of it. You know, I had different elements. I had lightning at one point, and ice at another, and fire at another. And I was able to stick with that. But then, when I was maybe level 7, I switched over to the two-handed greatsword. I didn't find myself at a huge disadvantage. I was able to use my magic skills, which still were useful no matter which weapon I was using. And then I was able to spend a little bit of time ranking up that other weapon and opening that up. So I did manage to make it to an anchor during my time in Tamriel, and it wasn't really a successful experience. Not because, you know, the anchor wasn't fun or something broke. I just died. A lot. There's nobody there to help me. And it's a big, badass anchor, and lots of bad mobs, and I died. So I respawned, and I came back, and I tried, and I died. And so I respawned, and I came back, and I died. And I died a lot, and I tried really, really hard. But really, the anchor events are meant for more than one person, or you got to be quite powerful before you try to tackle one on your own, because I know I didn't have success at level 8 or 9 or whatever I was.
Since I jumped in the world of massively multiplayer games, I have pined for being the ability to play with friends. For me, Tamriel is where I want to be, and now I get to be there with my friends.